the only royal guards in Malaysia, and the oldest army in the country.
JMF rule now have changed.
They are guardians of Johor's palaces.
And we are still changing to accommodate with time.
They play an important role in all royal ceremonies. Some of them have been transformed into an elite force.
It should be the tip of the spear in the Johor Military Forces.
As commanding officer, the Crown Prince leads from the front.
I had to sacrifice myself and said, look, pain is temporary, but victory is forever.
Chosen for their physical and military abilities, trained to guard and protect. Their devotion to the Sultan is beyond doubt. These are the Johor Military Forces, the most distinctive and unique army in Malaysia. The Johor Military Forces have served the Sultans of Johor for 131 years. They have guarded, protected, and died for the royal family. Nowadays, the JMF play a key ceremonial role and complementing the role of the Malaysian security forces. After all, Johor, the southernmost state of peninsular Malaysia, sits in a strategic location. South China Sea to the east, the Straits of Malacca in the west, and Singapore is a stone's throw away. More than a century ago, the Johor Sultan saw how crucial it was to protect the land. Sultan Ibrahim is continuing the tradition founded by his forefathers.
JMF at the time was not like JMF today. Those days, JMF was to defend Johor. All the strategic area and important area. That was the role of JMF.
With the strength of a battalion at 425 men, Johor is the only state in modern Malaysia to have its own military forces.
It is not only for the Johor monarchy, it is the institution. The institution that has been laid out by our forefathers.
The JMF was formed in 1886. It's the time when the British Empire was expanding control in the Malay Peninsula, driven by the economic boom in the West. Regionally, the French capturing Indochina threatened the flourishing trade of the Straits settlements. To guarantee his state's independence, Johor's ruler, Sultan Abu Bakar, signed an agreement with the British government.
Johor wants to be its own nation at that time. And it was recognized by the British. That's how JMF started.
The agreement recognized Johor as a sovereign land under the rule of Sultan Abu Bakar, including the establishment of a military force to work together with the police.
Sultan Abu Bakar wanted to have an armed force to secure the borders and maintain internal peace. Also, he wanted to have that to preclude the British from coming in.
With the foundations laid by Sultan Abu Bakar, the JMF today is unique, an independent military organization with the distinction of being the oldest army in Malaysia.
The Johor Military Force play a big part in terms of reminding the Johorians of where we come from, what is our history, and what we should preserve in terms of our heritage.
A big part of the JMF's heritage is its colors. Istana Besar Johor, the ceremonial palace of the Sultan of Johor, is hosting a special ceremony. The JMF is getting new colors, or flag, a recognition to the unit. Sultan Ibrahim, as JMF Commandant, inspects the Guard of Honor accompanied by the Crown Prince, the commanding officer. 180 JMF personnel and 7 officers received the colors in a ceremony last held 31 years ago.
In 1916, the first was the award of the first colors. In 1986, it was the changing of the colors. That means the same color, but the old flag being changed with the new one. And this year was the second time it was changed.
The soldiers pledged their loyalty to the colors, To JMF soldiers, being loyal means giving their time and even lives to serve the Royals. The longest-serving JMF member of 41 years knows it well. The band leader has served 3 sultans.
Saya memang berminat dalam askar Johor ni. Daripada dulu, saya minat. Yang keduanya, saya sepatutnya umur saya 56 tahun, saya dah bersara. Tapi dengan titah Wahiduli tuanku, dia minta sambung lagi.
This elite force member has served JMF for 9 years, continuing a family tradition.
JMF ni daripada arwah bapak saya, arwah abang saya, dan juga lagi 3 orang daripada saya, abang saya, dan adik saya seorang lagi lah.
Serving Johor with steadfast loyalty comes at the start.
Daripada habis saya ikut, dia akan ada angkat sumpah. Dari situ dia akan taat setia. Maksudnya dia ni betul-betul nak kerja dengan raja ni. Maksudnya sebab tu akan dipilih anak jati Johor. Anak jati Johor, dia punya hati dia lain.
In addition to loyalty, JMF soldiers must uphold the trust given by the Sultan.
Ibarat kita jaga nyawa Sultan dan kerabat-kerabat dan anak-anak. Itu kita kena jaga. Kita kena betul-betul bertanggungjawab.
Every year, JMF recruitment officers go in search of candidates in all 10 districts in Johor to join their loyal and trusted band of brothers. To get here, these young men between the ages of 18 and 23 years must be born in Johor and pass the Malaysian equivalent of British O-levels. And there's a special criteria for future recruits.
Keutamaan akan diberi kepada permohonan yang boleh membaca dan menulis Jawi.
The JMF is still upholding the tradition of writing reports and issuing written orders in Jawi, or Malay in the Arabic script, since its formation in 1886.
Recruitment of JMF, it's just too much. We want to have one intake, maybe 50, but 400, 500 applications. And they get very upset if they couldn't join. They want to serve JMF.
From the many hopefuls, only 100 will be accepted for training as recruits at the JMF headquarters. Since the reformation of JMF after the Second World War, this is the biggest number of recruits to be selected. These men have made the height requirement of at least 168 centimeters and weigh no less than 47.5 kilos. To be in the JMF, the candidates must go through comprehensive physical checks. They must be agile and alert.
Saya nak cek telinga anda. Penan telinga anda keluar darah? Tidak. Keluar nanah? Tidak.
To be future soldiers, they must have perfect eyesight. Once they pass all the tests, these candidates will move to the next stage. From all the districts in Johor, 200 men are gathered at Sultan Ibrahim Camp for the crucial fitness tests. Captain Ahmad Hamdan is taking charge. He has served JMF for 20 years and now leads the elite force.
Kita berlari sejauh 2.4 kilometer dalam masa 14 minit ke bawah.
Saya jauh begitu. Tak pernah lari 20 lebih kilometer.
Some have cracked under pressure.
Pada mulanya tadi yang ujian pertama tadi okey, bagus. Boleh lepas masa dalam bawah 14 minit. Tapi yang kedua tadi agak tak memuaskan.
Some candidates learned the hard way. A soldier's fitness must be beyond doubt. More than physical ability, JMF soldiers must show genuine interest and have the right attitude. To the officers, first impressions count. Those who fake it will not make it. Once accepted into the force, they must quickly learn the qualities expected of them.
Loyalty, brave, and serving with honor.
While the new recruits are being selected, another group dreams of making the cut into a special unit, the elite force. It's 6 in the morning. Every day, 90 men are deployed to guard palaces in Johor Bahru. Each of these men will stand guard for at least 6 hours in a 24-hour shift.
Setakat ini kita ada 13 pos. 13 pos dan yang pertama sekali ini Istana Bukit Serin. Lepas tu Istana Besar, Istana Bukit Pelangi, Istana Pasir Pelangi. Ini 4 istana.
Protecting the high-profile royals means the soldiers must be well-armed. The JMF's weapon of choice is the M16. But for close-quarters combat, a bayonet is a soldier's best friend. JMF soldiers wear 2 types of uniforms. One is the normal duty uniform. The other is a special ceremonial outfit worn when they guard the main entrance of the Sultan's official palace. But more than looking good, these soldiers are expected to display an exemplary code of conduct.
Ingatkan, korang, kecergasan, kebersihan, disiplin kau. Kau jaga untuk diri kau. Kalau kau tak jaga untuk diri kau, 3 tu memang gagal dalam pekerjaan. Faham?
The men are divided into 1 squad, 10 privates and 2 non-commissioned officers.
Kita mengawal bersama, diharap semua buat kerja baik, dengar taklimat daripada sarjana pengawal yang lepas berkenaan kerja, berkenaan dengan kembali tuanku, pemaisuri, tengah isteri dan anak-anak yang lain. Faham?
To these soldiers, the M16 is like their Siamese twin, holding the 4-kilo rifle by their sides at all times. Using the weapon is a last resort, but everything must be in perfect working order, just as the soldiers must always be combat ready.
So the role of JMF today, JMF can participate with the Malaysian Armed Forces during any emergency.
The day is beginning at Istana Bukit Serin. This is the official palace of the Sultans of Johor since 1939, commanding a vantage point overlooking the Strait of Johor and neighboring Singapore. The main entrance on the busy coastal highway is guarded by 10 men at all times. In a traditional ceremony, the new guard formally exchanges duties with the old.
Jadi anggota-anggota baru akan sampai di kawasan pos tu dan anggota-anggota yang lama dia akan memberi hormat tunggu yang baru sampai.
Standing guard and not allowed to move, no matter what is in front of you, takes the greatest self-control and skill. And these men have to do it in scorching tropical heat. Each man stands guard for 2 hours before another takes over. The rotation continues for 24 hours. The JMF is divided into 4 units. The biggest, consisting of 8 platoons, is the Guards. Then there's the marching band that has been part of the JMF since 1979. The other 2 units are the administration and the elite force. The best of the best is the JMF Elite Force. Numbering 61, the elite force is JMF's commandos and specialists in close contact protection. It was the brainchild of the Crown Prince, Tunku Ismail, who had trained in India and served with the Indian 61st Cavalry.
Even though when it comes to our role and task is ceremonial, but when it comes to skills and our capabilities should be the skill of the Special Forces.
He returned to Johor wanting to model his men along the lines of the Vatican's Swiss Guard.
And therefore, that is why I created the elite forces. It should be the tip of the spear in the Johor Military Forces organization.
In 2008, the Crown Prince and 20 JMF soldiers underwent 12 weeks of intense training with the Malaysian Army Commandos. At the end of the training, the JMF Elite Force was born. Among those hand-picked by the Crown Prince is Captain Ahmad Hamdan.
Semangat dan juga jiwa kita tu kuat, kena lawan lah untuk atasi latihan-latihan yang diberikan tu. Walaupun kata umur, dah berumur, Tapi semangat tu masih kuat, alhamdulillah. Boleh lepas 21 orang.
The JMF elite force have a tough act to follow. The Sultan, their commandant, had gone through commando training in Malaysia and abroad.
I follow Special Forces, Green Beret Spec. They have to go through the same. What I went through, they have to go through. We are not running a Boy Scout here.
As platoon leader of the elite force, Captain Handan has the task of selecting the best candidates to be in his team.
Dia apa yang saya harapkan, tentukan latihan-latihan yang diberikan, iaitu ujian-ujian yang diberikan, hendaklah lulus. Sekiranya anda gagal, maknanya anda gagal untuk menyertai elite force. Faham semua sekali?
During the selection process, the men's physical fitness is tested before they move on to other challenges. At the same time, the existing elite members are tested for their fitness level.
We understand when your age increase, we know where you stand. There are things that you must maintain to be an elite forces. Once you can't maintain that, you'll be dropped out of the elite.
The candidates begin with a 3.2-kilometer run. They must finish in 16 minutes or less. With little time to rest, the test continues. Push-ups, followed by sit-ups. More than physical assessment, the candidate's character also determines their acceptance into the elite force.
Kata orang macam tegas lah. Macam kita ambil yang terbaik lah. Semua sekarang ni tegas, tapi kita ambil yang lagi terbaik untuk menjadi elite force ni.
The test is separating the tough from the rest. The JMF encourages soldiers interested to be in the elite force to join early, in their 20s, when their fitness is optimal. The oldest JMF soldier to undergo elite force training is 40 years old, and he made it. But sometimes, even young men can't take the punishing test. While he tries to recover, the rest are ready for the final test of the day, climbing up a 10-meter high rope. Elite force members are proven physically and mentally tough. They're given tasks beyond the normal guarding of JMF soldiers. But everyone starts with basic training to build character and resilience. For the new recruits, it's time to get acquainted with their weapon. These young men must learn fast.
Orang rasa macam akan ada rasa takut, akan ada rasa gemuruh. Pasal benda pertama kali dia orang megang ni.
The M16 is a powerful rifle. The recruits must be mindful of the safety procedures.
Tapi kalau senjata dah terlepas, dah terkena pada orang ataupun membahayakan orang lain, dia tak ada perkataan semula.
All JMF members are expected to have good weapon skills in case they have to join with the Malaysian Army in conflict situations.
By doing this, we're ensuring that we are implementing a skill that a Johor Military Force soldier should have in terms of in case of emergency. That they know how to react and what is the standard operational procedure.
A century ago, the soldiers of the JMF were called upon to do exactly that. In the uprising known as the Singapore Mutiny, they were tested to the limit, but it was one of the finest hours for them. Sultan Ibrahim Camp is the headquarters of the Johor Military Forces in Johor Bahru. The JMF started with the fort in 1886, before moving to the Green Camp in 1915. In 2016, the JMF moved to a better facility, where more than 400 men live and train. Here the soldiers are closer to Istana Bukit Seri, the Sultan's official palace. This is the first batch of recruits in the new camp. They have reached almost the end of their training. Like each day in the past 6 months, they began all activities by drilling and the stringent check by their sergeant.
Mana kau putih kau? Stop.
Kamu tak ada laporan? Kenapa tak beritahu? Tungkil kau keliling ni.
By now, they should have learned soldiers must follow orders. Straying from the rules, even the tiniest mistake, is asking for punishment.
Satu lagi lah kau. Kau kena ingat. Pemakaian. Sediakan daripada awal, faham? Bukan time macam ini bila nak pakai. Time tu lah basuh. Time tu lah tak ada. Faham mungkin?
These recruits are given a simple task today, a task that could show their true character and their willingness to do even the most menial job in the name of duty.
Kita tukar tempat ni, bagikan tugas dengan anggota, faham? Kawasan kaki lima ni semua bersih.
Recruit Ahmad Akmal has been tasked to lead this batch.
Pandai-pandai bagikan tugas yang tadi orang. Barang-barang ambil kat situ. Okey.
Even an injured man has to soldier on. There's no rest for the best.
Saya ni seorang yang degil, tak berdisiplin lah. Tak dengar orang cakap nampak, malas. Tak suka kemas-kemas ni semua. Bila dah masuk JMF ni, banyak lah. Yang ikut hati ajar, bekerjasama, bertanggungjawab. Itu lah yang penting dalam JMF ni.
To these recruits, their commandant is their role model. The Sultan of Johor had gone through various military disciplines, from Army to Navy and Air Force.
So I attended in the Jungle Warfare Training School. I did my platoon commander course. And I went through, and I did it quite well. Then I was sent to Fort Benning, Georgia. Infantry Officers Basic Course, a Ranger course, and Airborne course.
The Sultan's military training inspired this recruit to join the JMF, even though his parents were against him becoming a soldier.
So, untuk negeri lah, negeri Johor. Dan dari sudut geopolitik ya, yang saya nampak lah, Johor adalah satu negeri yang maju. Diketuai oleh Duli Yang Maha Mulia Tuanku Sultan Johor. Disebabkan kemajuan Johor ni lah, saya milih untuk negeri saya.
Akmal has taken a big responsibility to manage 75 of his friends during the training.
Saya dipertanggungjawabkan untuk jaga dia orang ni. Dari segi disiplin, menjaga masa, semua sekali. Jadi kalau apa-apa salah, jurulatih akan panggil saya dulu, tanya apa masalah.
While the new recruits are being trained on character building, their seniors are pushing their limits to be in the elite force.
Selecting is very important. You must pass your physical fitness test. We allow tolerance of maybe 10%. After that, you must go through the advanced physical fitness test and maintain.
The Sultan knows what it takes. He's the Colonel-in-Chief of Malaysia's Special Forces, and that's where these men will train if they pass the selection process.
Kerana elite force ni bukan sebarang-sebarang orang yang boleh memasuki unit tersebut. Mana kita tengok dia punya fizikal dia yang agak luar biasa. Barulah anggota tersebut boleh menjalani latihan-latihan yang lasak.
The special unit would have been a formidable addition to the JMF a century ago, at the time of the uprising now known as the Singapore Mutiny.
We were successful in terms of maintaining this characteristic of loyalty towards the state and also serving with pride, being proud, and as a great honor.
At the outbreak of World War I, the JMF had grown to 440 men. To honor the 1885 agreement his father made, the late Sultan Ibrahim, the second Sultan of Johor, offered the JMF services to the British. They were sent to guard the Tanglin prison, which held German prisoners. The biggest challenge for the JMF started here.
This is the first time in the history of the JMF that they faced actual war situation. In other words, they did battle.
The 15th of February 1915, Indian Muslim soldiers, also known as sepoys, mutinied. The British were unprepared for the sepoys' rampage throughout Singapore.
The 5th Light Infantry they lacked discipline. So not just the troops, but amongst the British officers, there was a lack of discipline, and there was also a lack of leadership because they had just had a new commanding officer.
Other reasons could include fighting for Indian independence, and as Muslims, a reluctance to fight the Ottoman Empire, possibly incitement by the Germans as well. In the ensuing chaos, more than 100 sepoys made for Tenglan prison to free the Germans.
So when the sepoys mutinied and start killing people, they also, the Johor Military Forces men fought back. But as I said, they had only limited rounds of 200 rounds of ammunition.
The late Sultan Ibrahim led his troops despite the limitations.
He was under the impression that the Singapore government was going to provide the troops with ammunition, and the Singapore government didn't have the same impressions.
Finally, the mutineers surrendered to Sultan Ibrahim. The JMF's fighting spirit throughout the mutiny was recognized by the British. In the interwar years, the JMF grew to number around 2,000 at the outbreak of the Second World War. If the Singapore mutiny was a high point for the JMF, then the Japanese invasion of Malaya must be its lowest.
The Commonwealth Forces commander then advised Sultan Ibrahim to withdraw the JMF from this front line and also to disband them in order to save them.
When the war ended and Malaysia became independent, it seemed there was no room for the JMF. But the state has held on to one of its icons and is remaking it for the future.
So JMF role now has changed from before. The equipment have changed. The administration have changed. And we are still changing to accommodate with time.
In the fast-changing environment, the JMF is applying a more tactical approach in protecting the Johor royals, especially the Sultan and the Crown Prince. The elite force is the game changer, a specialized unit set apart from the ordinary JMF soldiers. It's 5 a.m., time for the night duty recruit, also known as orderlies, to wake up his fellow teammates. Every night, 4 recruits are on duty, taking turns to keep watch at the dormitory blocks. This is part of the training to become Royal Guards when they are fully commissioned. It's compulsory for all recruits to go for the morning prayer. During training, this is the only time they're allowed to wear their own clothes outside the dormitory. At all other times, it's standard issue uniforms and clothing. The day starts with reporting to the sergeant in charge. When all the men are accounted for, it's another drill, but this time to the mosque.
Because I think you cannot achieve anything in life without discipline. Whether you're in the private sector, whether you're in the government, or whether you're doing business, you need self-discipline.
For this first batch of 76 recruits at the new Sultan Ibrahim camp, today is an important day. They're wearing the ceremonial uniform of the JMF soldier for the first time. It's a rehearsal for the passing out parade or graduation day for the recruits. The white tunic must be spotless, the buttons, lapel pins, and shoulder boards polished to a high shine. To complete the whole ensemble is the marching shoes. For a young man used to casual wear, this is the making of a gentleman, and everything must be spick and span.
Kegunaan dia, waktu pembarisan, kami akan pakai pakaian ni. Lepas tu, waktu kawalan di sana nanti, kami kena pakai pakaian ni juga. Lagi satu, paling penting, waktu kahwin. Gelar putih, dan ini topi timalan. Topi timalan ni pun ada lambang askar timalan. Seluar dia, seluar berwarna biru gelap, berjalur kuning. Jalur kuning ni sebab kami ni askar diraja.
Rasa segar lah. Sedap, bangga. Bangga lah. Ibu apa tengok kita dengan pakaian macam ni. Sebelum ni kita tak ada apa-apa. Tapi tiba-tiba dia datang, dia tengok kita pakai pakaian istiadat kan.
Proudly kitted out, the recruits are ready for rehearsal, while the elite force aspirants are going to sweat it out in the middle of Johor Bahru City. The elite force selection continues here at the old JMF camp in the city. To be in the elite force, they have none other to look up to than their commanding officer, who spent 8 years doing various military training in Malaysia and India.
The training was very, very tough. I had to do a lot of training, every single thing. But I want to do it because I want to be an example to my troops. And therefore I had to sacrifice myself and say, look, pain is temporary, but victory is forever.
If Tunku Ismail leads from the front, the elite platoon leader follows in his footsteps. These men have gone through a series of physical tests at their headquarters, and now it's time for another trial, a city run and fitness test, 30 kilometers in all. Joining them are some senior elite force. This is a regular assessment of their fitness level. For these two privates who have been with JMF for 2 years, they want to push the limit further than the usual guarding duty.
Semua orang pun tahu nak tadi tengok kan, nak pergi komando, bukan senang nak ni. Orang cakap biar susah dulu senang kemudian. Mental lah sikit. Sebab baru-baru ikut masuk kursus ni, bilik tu sangat mental lah bagi saya.
They are always on standby. Standby means the immediate action plan. They will react better than the normal soldiers. So if possible, future to come, I want them all to be elite forces.
When they become elite force members, their commandant expects them to shine above the rest. Back at Sultan Ibrahim camp, the recruits are ready for the passing out parade rehearsal. 2 important elements are expected of them.
Yang pertama sekali berkenaan dengan persiapan pembarisan. Dia mestilah tahu clue-clue apa yang dia nak buat. Yang kedua, persiapan diri berkenaan dengan pakaian nombor 1 dia ataupun pakaian seremonial dia. Tentukan benda itu semua baik.
Drilling was introduced to these recruits at the beginning of their training. And for 6 months, every day and any activity in the camp begin with drilling. Captain Jalaluddin has been with the JMF for 34 years. Drilling is second nature to him, but not for the recruits. Getting the timing right is crucial. The men synchronize their steps from the start, and they have to maintain their movements once the JMF band strikes up. The band is an essential part of the JMF's official ceremonial duties. For the perfect parade, both men and music must march to the same beat and rhythm. If he notices something amiss, the drill sergeant wields his pace stick. He uses it to make sure the recruits keep the proper distance from each other when marching. Being dressed in ceremonial uniform means everything has to be well put together. But most of them seem to be having trouble tightening their belts.
Jangan longgar sangat. Ikat dengan getah gelang, tutup dengan anak tali pinggang ni. Barulah dia tak lari. Dapat?
The drilling continues in the blazing 36 degrees Celsius heat. There's little time left to get everything right.
Tangan kiri tu senjata berada rapat pada badan tu. Buka mata tu. Lawan matahari tu.
By now, the recruits have learnt, in the Army, every single thing must be perfect, from uniform to cadence. Together with the band, they must get the rhythm and lyrics right for this song, usually sung by parents to remind their children who are off to study to return home. Now the recruits sing it to accompany their marching out when they complete their training.
Saya nak besok, masa yang sebenar tak ada yang berlaku macam tadi. Ada tali kasut tanggal, tali pinggang londe, tongkok beri sengit dan macam-macam lagi. Faham tu sekali?
In the Elite Force Operations Room, Captain Handan briefs the selected team for an important operation. The men check their assault rifles and other gear. When the stakes are high, there's no room for error. Everything is ready. The squad leader gives the order to move out. In fast-moving Johor, The Johor Military Forces is one of the most noticeable icons. Having survived 2 world wars, the JMF remains relevant to Johor. For these recruits, joining the JMF is more than just combat training and drilling. Soon they will be assigned palace protection duty.
Jadi boleh tak boleh, tidak, kita tidak terlepas daripada urusan protokol dari diri kita sendiri kepada raja kita.
In their daily interaction with the Sultan, they must learn to speak Royal Malay, which is different from the normal Malay language.
Walau macam mana besar kita, hebat kita, ada gap. Dapat macam mana pun tetap ada gap. Berdasarkan perlembagaan.
They must also become familiar with writing Jawi, the Malay language written in Arabic script. Everyone in the JMF, from the privates to high-ranking officers, are well-versed in Jawi. But to keep up with the times, the JMF is evolving. More than palace guards, they are being molded into an effective fighting machine. Always on guard, the JMF elite force are specially trained for urban warfare, and that includes hostage rescue. The men are trained as a team to act fast, contain the situation, and minimize casualties. As protectors of the Johor royal family, the elite force hostage rescue team must be alert at all times. They must practice their skills regularly to face any possibilities.
They're expert in weapons. They are expert in self-defense. They are expert in anti-terrorists. They are expert in bodyguarding. And they are all, most of them are trained snipers. They're expert in every field. That makes elite possible.
We are trained, especially in these modern days with urban warfare. A lot of close quarter battle, snipers, also VIP protection. We are also trained in explosive, advanced driving, amphibious assault, airborne, and how to operate behind enemy lines.
To keep them fighting fit for any sort of situation, the elite force constantly train, including going on long-distance hikes with full 40-kilo packs during the day or night. Among them are the elite hopefuls. This hike will determine whether they are tough enough to last the course to go for commando training.
30 km dijangka lebih kurang dalam selewat-lewatnya lebih kurang dalam 3 jam. Punya masa itu masa yang terbaik lah. Kemudian kita akan buat latihan-latihan seperti crawl. Sejauh 30 meter, kalau bisa kita akan bawa dalam 30 anggota. Mungkin 1-2 anggota akan mungkin ada yang cedera. Itu yang tak dapat meneruskan latihan lah. Mungkin ada yang ini faktor kesihatan.
All men return to base in one piece, but it's not over yet after the grueling 30 kilometers.
Okey, cek senjata anda, perlengkapan anda, tegak semua cukup. Saya tak percaya anda punya badan kerja dalam senjata itu cukup. Bukan senjata.
It's been a long night. After all the tests, the platoon leader can now decide who will train with the Malaysian commandos.
Maksudnya selepas anggota tersebut dah menjalani PT jasmani setiap hari, PT combat, PT taekwondo. Maknanya dia dah semua dah lepas.
Once the choice is made, there's no going back. These men will go through 3 months of grueling commando training to be the elite force. As one batch of men move on in their service to Johor, another batch is just starting out. These young men will learn what loyalty is all about over their years of service ahead. For now, they have the distinction to be the first to graduate under the new colors.
Hari ini saya sangat gemetar, sangat gugup. Disebabkan hari ini Tuanku Mahkota ada, tuanku mungkin ada. Dan yang paling penting sekali, mak opak saya ada.
Today's the day. After 6 long months of hard work and training, they have made it.
Saya rasa macam gugup pun ada. Tapi rasa macam happy pun ada lah. Perasaan sedih tu pun ada lah.
they have made it into the ranks of the Johor Military Forces, a unique private army in the service of the Sultan of Johor. Captain Jalaluddin has seen these boys turned into military men.
Dia lebih cergas, lebih tetap, lebih berstamina. Yang kedua berkenaan dengan personality. Kalau dulu dia jalan macam orang kampung, sekarang segak jalan. Dari segi disiplin, pakaian.
As on the outside, the inside of these men have also changed. Over the months, they have learned to work as a team and be steadfast in their duties.
Taat dan setia. Itu penting sekali, perkara yang penting pada kita. Apabila dititah, kita taat dan kita laksanakan dengan setia.
Stay loyal. We've been here, no offense to anybody, but we've been here since 1885. Therefore, our history and our heritage and our tradition should always be upheld very highly.
This is a proud day, not only for the recruits, but their families as well. Today they are witnessing their sons transformed into soldiers of the Johor Military Forces. One day it will be the turn of these young soldiers to protect the royal family of Johor, and under their commanding officer's leadership, to protect all of Johor.
My vision is also to have a southern command and a northern command. You will have a lot of Johor military forces playing a role in terms of serving the institution.
Out of 76 recruits, 4 received special awards. After 6 hard months, they will now have a week off before they return and be assigned into their platoons. Best overall recruit, Akmal, has proven he has what it takes to be a good soldier.
Taat setia ni ialah kepada Sultan-Sultan negeri ni dan juga kepada pemerintah-pemerintah. Jadi dari segi kita perlu dijalankan.
He may be young, but best academic recruit Afiq knows what he is serving for.
Hikmat bukan kerja untuk makan gaji saja, tapi bekerja untuk menjaga institusi raja, kedaulatan, menjaga harta raja, menjaga keselamatan raja-raja.
Serving their Sultan and the state of Johor has given these young men a purpose for the rest of their lives.
We want to be a unit with discipline that get respect by others.
As JMF, they will be ever loyal, ever steadfast to protect Johor and the Johor Royal House.